back again. Wagwan Sapa Sekela Ki. You already know it's your boy Jimothy Bourdain out here. I'm Jimothy Bourdain today because we talking about world tours and European trips. You know, your boy was living elegant in Italy and Greece. So I just want to tell y'all a little bit about the things I was doing while I was out there day by day. I already gave y'all a video on some of my takeaways, and I may have some new ones in this video just because when I be talking, stuff comes up. So yeah, I want to just give y'all a little bit of the itinerary, why I was there, what I was doing, and how I filled my time there, because some of it was obligation and some of it was vacation. Ooh, rapper, you already know what's up. So yeah, let's get into that right about now. I no need to delay. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe as always. It helps me out. We're trying to get back into the swing of things. Remember I told y'all that in the last video? Yeah. So let's get into it. Go, 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 go. All right, so let's set the context. This is November, I want to say 11th that I'm landing in Catania, Sicily, Italy. The weekend before this, I went down to New Orleans to go to my homeboy's wedding. I hadn't seen him for about 10 to 15 years. He was getting married, and I told him I was going to be there. So I flew out there. And then unfortunately, this trip was unplanned because my dad was on vacation in Italy, in Sicily, and he ended up getting sick. And he had to stay at the hospital. So I went over there to help him out and have a little bit of vacation too. So that's why it was unplanned, and I didn't have all my cameras and have a good itinerary for y'all. So some of this was freestyle, just doing what felt natural. So cut me a little bit of slack. Brazil's not gonna be like that. This carnival trip, we gonna have it down pat, you know what I mean? Like that. So I leave New Orleans Sunday afternoon. I fly out of there and I get to Catania, Italy after about 8 to 10 hours of flying. I end up landing in Catania, Italy in the afternoon on Monday. The weather is nice. It's about 65, 70 degrees, way better than here in Ohio where you needed a coat starting at that point in November. And I caught the bus with my dad. He always was recommending it because the bus trip is about 20 minutes. The bus is about €5, whereas the cab ride is about €40 to get from the airport to downtown, which is really only like 20 minutes. So we caught the bus with my suitcase, dropped that off, checked into the Airbnb. My dad was staying at a hotel that he had been staying at. They had a lot of B&Bs. I was in an Airbnb, of course, but they had B&Bs in the sense of bed and breakfast, where you kind of would stay there and then you kind of get like a little complimentary breakfast, a little bit less than a hotel. Basically, kind of think of that, but higher than a hostel. And so he had that, and then I had the Airbnb. So I went and checked in there. It was old school with them big old Harry Potter keys, which kind of makes you feel a little cool, but the locks are also harder to use, and it's all a bigger thing. But it's the architecture fire. Another impression I had when I landed, it kind of looked like the mix between what you may expect like Morocco to look like in Europe, like that little in between where, and then it doesn't look like the colorful French or that brick or stone of Italy that you see in other places. So just a first impression. So I got there in the afternoon. After I checked in, I went and met up with my dad, checked on him to see how he was doing. He was real excited to see me. Who wouldn't be? So me and him just walked up about a 10 to 15 minute walk to the main strip where all the shops and restaurants and cafes are, and like the Piazza De Duomo, the statue of the elephant near the fish market, all that stuff that's really popular in Central and Catania. So we walked that just to get our feet wet, kind of get a bearings of where we were, did a little bit of shopping, and we walked up just to check things out for the first day. Went back and we got some lunch, some late lunch, dinner-ish. Chilled and watched some crime dramas because that was like the only thing that they had in English on the TV. So we got well versed in that. Y'all don't really care that much about my family. Let's skip to the good part. So at about 9 o'clock, I left my dad. I went to the corner store and picked up like whatever bottle of vodka they had and a couple of cups and maybe like their version of Coca-Cola. Went back to the Airbnb for a couple hours till about 11, and I smashed about half the bottle of vodka. And at that point, I was feeling active. I was like, I need to catch my bearings and see what's going on. I had been swiping. I had already had some swipes, so I already knew some chicks out here when I got there. So I was looking at like their Instagram, you know, creeps, but this is the least creep version of a creep. But this is one of the tips I put in one of my old videos on what you should do when planning to travel. So I'll link that in the bio or somewhere in this video, you'll see it. But yeah, I was looking at their Instagram, not to creep on their Instagram, but to look at like the places that they've been, or sometimes, you know, girls will put them little stories with the food restaurants and the bars. So I was looking at those to try to see food restaurants and bars that maybe not she gonna be at, but girls who look like her are going to be at, which means other good looking girls. So I was looking at those places, and one was like a 15-20 minute walk. So I took like a little cup of liquor with me, and I got a beer, and I just started walking up that way with Google Maps, chilling. Saw a park, some kids were skating, some kids were playing basketball. They were some scrubs. I would have dusted them off for real, but I ain't have the right footwear. The foot apparel was not correct for the occasion, and I think I had this jacket on. So I walk up, go to a restaurant. There's other restaurants on that strip, and it's Monday night. So mind you, I'm like, I don't know how active it's gonna be. Maybe it's just Monday, people ain't doing stuff. But this little strip was decently busy. There were some other bars. So I stopped at this American looking pub, took a shot of Jameson, talked to the people, and then just kind of kept it moving. And then I ended up stumbling upon what became our go-to spot, Piazza Santa Maria Indirizzo, something like that. I'll write it down. But this was just like a square, smaller than Placita, but a La Placita type of vibe, El Plobado or Parqueyeres type of vibe, where you go sit there, there's a bunch of restaurants and bars all spread out, there's open space and chairs, and mad people were out there partying. There was mad shorties. I was looking, they was looking back. I sat at the table, we chopped it up, ended up meeting a Dominican out there. That's crazy. But yeah, this was all a surprise first night. I ended up getting home around 3 or 4, stumbled into the Doner kebab place because the Turks make the best kebabs and late night food. So I got some fries and doner, took it down, passed out. That was day 1. So day number 2, I met up with my dad early in the morning to get the free breakfast up until like 10 a.m. So we had some good juices, which was necessary after that late night, some croissants, some basic breakfast items. We sat out in the courtyard and ate. The hotel was really decadent and had a lot of nice little details, like mosaic pieces. So we looked at that for a little while, and then we got up out of there. And we just went to go explore the city a little bit some more that he had already explored because he had been there for like 3 weeks. But we went to like the farmer's market where you can get a bunch of fresh produce, eggplants all purple and big, looking good, fresh prawns and seafood. And this isn't even the fish market that they're really known for, where you'll see the swordfish, head cut off, all of that, everything weighed out how you want it. We went there a different day, so wait on that. So my dad and I, we walked there. They were selling produce, souvenirs, jewelry, electronics, all the stuff you could want to buy. Basically, we were shopping. And we just walked through that market, and we walked up that main street again to the Botanic Garden, looked at that for a little bit, and then we headed back and walked back. In the last video, I mentioned to y'all should do something, wake up on time, do something, go back and take a nap. That's exactly what we did. So I went back, took a nap after eating with him. I think we stopped and got some ice cream because, like I said, they love gelato out there. My dad was loving the pistachio one. I just got chocolate because I'm basic and chocolate is the best. You can't beat it, so why try something else? So that was back up there by like the statue of the elephant, Piazza De Duomo, you know. And then we walked about 10 minutes back to the Airbnbs, took a nap, chilled, woke up, we got some dinner together, and then he linked me up with one of the black guys that worked there at the hotel, who was a Nigerian dude who had been living there. Shout out my man David, he was cool. I hit him up and was like, yo, you trying to step out a little bit tonight? I took the half a bottle I had left of the vodka with us while we walked, and I just hit that. He wasn't trying to drink. I was going to finish it because we couldn't take it in no place with us. So we walked for about 20 minutes back to the original restaurants that we went the night before, because I was like, yo, I went to this place and it was kind of all right. We should try to find it. And he was like, oh, yeah, it's up there. We went up there and it was not cool, and it was not the plaza that I was really trying to find. So we started walking back, and somehow or another, we're just talking, shooting the shit, and a little razzle dazzle popped up, and he was like, I could find you some. And I was like, man, that would be lovely for my appetite. So he held me down, got me right. Like I said, I know people when I go places, I always, you know what I mean? So he hooked me up. I went back, and right before he left me, he was like, he's got to go back to sleep because he got to wake up at 5 to go to work. I was like, yo, I went to this plaza last night and I tried to explain it to him. And he was like, I think I know what you're talking about. And he gave me the name and the direction. So I went back up there that Tuesday night, and it was nowhere near as live as Monday, but it was still active. They remembered me. I was in there messing with the bartenders, getting everybody shots, just talking since I was there alone, chilling. Good night. Went home around 3 again. Got another doner kebab, €4. You can't beat it. Open all night. Yeah, I mean, forget about it. So day number 3, numero tres, all of that. So my brother arrives this day. So I think he got there in the morning, and he and my dad went out to the same breakfast that I skipped this day because I had been out 2 nights on top of 2 more nights when I was in New Orleans partying. I needed a night. I needed more sleep then. So I took advantage of the extra 2 hours. And then after that, we basically kind of did what we did the day before. Showed my brother some of those same places we had just been. So after that, we took a bus that was maybe about an hour-long bus ride for about €12 to a town called Taormina that's higher up in the mountains. It's a real elegant city, like I said, up in the mountain and off the cliffs. Gives you Amalfi Coast type of vibes. They're known for having fashion shows that we might be going to this May because my dad is a photographer and he knows a guy that puts on the fashion shows, and he was like, yo, I'll get you in. You just got to pay to stay. And he was like, top models from all the world will be there. All the celebrities go there for these fashion parties. So maybe your boy Timothy Bourdain is really, really going to do what we will see. But we went up there. They had a lot of like the designer stores on windy cobblestone streets with great overlooks, nice little quaint dim lit restaurants, a great vibe. If you were taking a girl up there, y'all might have a child in a few months, 9 of them probably. It's that type of thing. I mean, he ain't gonna put no rubber on in that situation, player. You just go. Things happen. Things happen to the best of us. That was really good. We were only there for about an hour and a half. We walked around for about 30 minutes, ate, and then took the bus back. And then that night, I showed my brother the plaza that I've been going to, that Piazza Santa Maria dell'Idrizzo, and he saw it was a decent night. We came home around 2 or 3. I introduced him to the doner kebabs because, once again, they are the best. So those were our first 3 days in Catania, first impressions, things we did. We did have a lot of espressos in between there. I normally don't have a lot of an appetite when I travel, especially on the 6 hours, but my dad and my brother, they had appetite. So a lot of time I was watching them eat, and I would just have like ice cream or coffee or whatever. But food was great. People were great. We had met some people. I met the same girl like 3 nights going to that same bar. She ended up chilling with us that Wednesday night before we went out of town, which I'm going to tell y'all about in the next video, is what we did in Athens. Stay tuned. So that Thursday, we woke up and we flew to Athens. And I'm going to save that for a separate video so you can know Athens versus Italy. I was in Athens from Thursday to Sunday. We got back on Monday to Tuesday, and that was in Italy back to Catania. So just fast forward, we're going to start talking about coming back to Italy. So after Athens, we got back to Catania, Italy, and basically we checked on my dad. He was all good still. He had gone back to the hospital. Got a clean bill of health, so everything was still good for us to leave on our planned leave dates. We didn't do much, I don't think, on that first day. And then on to Tuesday, one of my dad's friends, we did meet up with him again because he knew a local guy. That's why he went to Sicily while he was on vacation. And this guy showed us around the city a little bit. He took us up to Mount Etna. We got to see the lava. We went up the mountain. We went at least a mile up into the air. And there was still a good amount to go. So we got to see the volcano a little bit more up. From there, we drove back down the mountain to the coastline and got to see one of the little heritage sites, basically like a little castle perched up on the coast, winding with some nice water. Some people were out there swimming on the Mediterranean Sea, you know, blessings, blessings. So we just kicked it pretty much that day. Then the next day, we went out. We did some last minute shopping because now they had kicked in their Black Friday sale. So they have like a Black Friday week, even though they don't have Thanksgiving. But everything was on sale like 30%, and there were some like some BOGO deals. So I got some sweaters and some shirts. Just got a little bit of Italian swag to take back and bring back to the States because they ain't gonna know about it. And you know your boy Jimothy gotta be fresh. We did that. We went to one last little dinner there in Italy all together because my brother was flying back to Virginia. I was flying back to Ohio. My dad was flying back to Virginia the day after. So we had a last little dinner. We went back out that night to the same plaza, tried to say bye to all our friends that we had made, the American friends we had made that Wednesday night before, who happened to be from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, for y'all who don't know. We met up with them saying bye. They were just there visiting with no end date. So they were loving it out there. Catania, for me, I thought it was mad dope. It was mad relaxing. It was a livable city. The rent is cheap. Like, it's definitely one of those places you can pay under $1,000 a month to have rent. And you also could probably live pretty well on that. They probably live on that or $2,000 a month. But you know, if you're coming over with American jobs and dollars and having some savings or something, you'll definitely be good and you'll be able to chill. The daily life is cheap. The rent isn't bad. You just need to learn Italian. Once you learn that Italian, the world is your oyster or the country is your oyster. So just my opinion there. We woke up that next day, went to the airport, flew. We said sayonara. Me and my brother had to dap up. Love you, cuh. All that good stuff. And I had to fly back to Rome. He was flying to, I believe, Istanbul and then over on Turkish Airlines. And I was still like Ryanair and then American Airlines. So the flight was just about 45 minutes and I had like 2 or 3 hour layover before I get to the next step. But I was an idiot and I forgot that I had a different airline. So I didn't go get my suitcase and then take it and check it in to leave for the next flight. The main flight, American Airlines, that I think it took me back to London. No, I think it went to Philly and then to Ohio. And so when I finally realized that, I had about 5 minutes to get the bag and get the check-in, and I was 5 minutes late. And so they told me I had to get a new flight because they couldn't take my bag and I couldn't leave the bag and I couldn't mail the bag. And so I called American and American rescheduled me. The only inconvenience was that I was trying to get back on Thanksgiving Day and then still have a day to get back to work and get everything done. But they were like, we won't be able to get you back in time. So I was like, well, if that's the case, just fly me back on Saturday and I'll just stay in Rome for 3 days and try to go see some of the historical stuff I always wanted to see in Rome. And now this is when it became a vacation a little bit. So I did that. They extended me. I didn't have to pay anything. Boom, everything was cool. So I took the train from the airport straight downtown. I think that was about €4. Took about 45 minutes on the train, straight shot. Then I got in a cab to get to my actual Uber because I had no idea what to do and I wasn't dealing with all that in the suitcase on them cobblestone roads. But first impressions, Rome is beautiful. The history, like I said, is everywhere. As you're going, you're just seeing monuments. You're like, oh, what's this thing? This wasn't even on the list of 20 places I should see. This is just here. I got to my B&B, which was on a nice, like, tiny street right in the heart of things in Rome. I don't remember the area. If I do, I'll put it in the bio. And I'll also link it if I find the link. Nice place, basically. Shower, bedroom, closet, TV, a few more channels. So I was chilling. I went out that night. Got some dinner. I didn't stay out too late. I was kind of taking this day off for myself. So I ate at like 11 p.m., had some fire food right in the plaza right there in Rome. I went to this little bar. It was kind of like a college bar. There was mad English speakers in there. And I was like, I'm kind of out of here. Went back and just chilled. Back to the lodging. I was like, you should figure out what you want to do and pre-book the tickets because all the videos I started watching were like, you should book the tickets. You should get the skip the line passes because the lines can be long. Now, I was there in November, so it's not the peak season when it's as bad as it could be, but I still got those skip the line tickets and there were lines, but they might have been like a 30-minute line versus a 3 or 4 hour line. So I was like, I want to do the Pantheon, and near the Pantheon, there's a bunch of other those little museum sightseeing spots. So from there was like the Trippy Fountain, shout out Lizzie McGuire, Spanish Steps, other monuments that you're just going to see while you're walking that way. So I was like, let's plan to do that and scope that out. Then I was like, I also want to do the Colosseum. And I think near the Colosseum, there's like the old court area too. So I booked that tour for the next day, and the Vatican and the Vatican Museum for that same day. Turns out one of my homegirls from London that I met when I went out there last year, she came out to fuck with your boy. So me and her went to the Pantheon, went and got some food, and then we went out all night, partied. So that next morning, we were supposed to go to the Coliseum at 9, so we had to get up at like 8. And we skipped that. I ain't gonna even lie to you. They got me for my money. They can have it. So then we just said, well, we're still gonna do the Vatican. So we got some lunch, late lunch, did a little shopping, walking around. And then we went to the Vatican, and that really sparked me up. I was tired that day until we saw that. The Vatican is absolutely awesome. You should go see it. You have to go see it. I wish they stamp your passport since it is a different country, but they don't. The museum is beautiful. There's so many artifacts, so many statues, sculptures, all the history. I think David, the Greco dude, was in there. He was bowling a turkey. They just had so much church stuff, maps, which was actually mad interesting to see. Is like looking at maps that they had of Italy, the world, all the details. The details are everywhere, and every single thing has a reason to be there. Then you get to see the Sistine Chapel, but you can't take pictures in there. It was nice to also get some of the background on like what the Sistine Chapel represents, how it's supposed to represent Moses' story on one side, and then Jesus' story, so Old Testament, New Testament. The roof is like the creation, and then the Last Judgment or Armageddon is the other part that Michelangelo did. And this was I think they said it was Michelangelo's first time painting. He wasn't a painter, he was a sculptor, and he was commissioned to do that. So my man came out the gate cooking on him, and he did that. Also, what's interesting, they had like the golden stitch in there. So Harry Potter stole some Vatican stuff. But it was awesome. It was very rewarding to go there. And then basically that night we ate dinner again, went out that last night, and then flew back to America. It felt great to be back on American soil. As much as I love Europe, that 6 hours is killer. Y'all toilets is stupid. Y'all drinking is awesome because it's cheap and effective. But I do love America. Every time I go over there, it just reminds me that it's nice to see other places, but this is still the best place to live. And y'all might agree or disagree, but the thing is, I can guarantee you this. There's more people from your country trying to live in my country than my people trying to leave and go live in your country, because they would rather be here, live here, for whatever reason. There's a lot of good reasons. That's all I got for y'all for that Italy trip. I hope y'all liked it. I'm going back to Europe in May. We're probably going to go to Italy. Still trying to plan it. Might be Portugal, might be a little Germany, might be Ibiza in Spain. So stay tuned. It's definitely going to be Manchester because we're going to see Manchester United versus Arsenal. Arsenal is going to win the league at Manchester. I will be there front and center, mi gente, with my jersey on. And my brother and dad and nephew going to have on their United jerseys. Frowning. Can't wait. Stay tuned. Brazil's coming. Life in Columbus is coming. There's some tours going on this weekend. I'm going to show y'all a lot of content coming. Stick with your boy, Jimothy Sosa.